be a vegetarian feast. 6:15 a guided mantra meditation, 7 o'clock a temple ceremony, and from 8 o'clock onwards more singing of kirtan like we had now. And for today's talk, we are very happy here to invite His Grace Gaurahari Prabhu. So please welcome him with a big Hari Bol. I think many of you have seen him. He is visiting us with his wife, Her Grace Vaijayanti Madaji, and he's actually from Switzerland. He came in contact with Krishna consciousness in 2002, and he joined actually here in this temple and get to know Krishna consciousness here. Later he traveled with his spiritual master, His Holiness Sachinandra Maharaj, and was serving him. Prabhu he also served as a temple president in the temple called Gaurahari in Germany. And for the past years he is traveling with his wife and sharing Krishna consciousness with all people, and also living and exploring also the holy Dham, Vrindavan Dham. So we are very happy that they are visiting us here today, and he's going to speak on the topic of learning to take shelter. So before we start, I have just two requests. First of all, please everyone move forward, come a little closer. And I want to also ask about the translation. Braucht jemand eine deutsche Übersetzung? Okay. And I wish you a very happy Sunday.
Some inspiration in Krishna consciousness, and today we are on the topic of taking shelter, which is a topic quite fascinating to me. That year after year I'm exploring again and again this topic, because it seems something very relevant in life, that very often actually we have to take shelter. And how do we do that? So we will explore a little this topic, and we will have first we will read a verse from Bhagavad Gita that speaks about that. This is Bhagavad Gita 9:32. And just recite the Sanskrit alone. Mamhi parta vyapashritya yepisyu papayonaya striyo vesyas tata sudras tepyanti paras gatim. Can someone give me a Bhagavad Gita in English? I have the word by word translation, but not. No. It's good. I have it? Yeah, I have it. I have the translation, the right one. So you can imagine Lord Krishna is now in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, speaking to his dear friend Arjuna, giving him the transcendental wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, and he speaks. O Arjuna, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, Vaishya, merchants, or Shudras, worker, they can attain the supreme destination. So there is a little explanation of this verse from Srila Prabhupada, the founder of our institution, it is clearly declared here by the Supreme Lord that in devotional service there is no distinction between the lower and higher class of people. In the material conception of life, there are such divisions, but for a person engaged in transcendental devotional service to the Lord, they are not. Everyone is eligible for the supreme destination. In Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18, it is stated that even the lowest, who are called Chandala or dog eaters, can be purified by association with a pure devotee. Therefore, devotional service and the guidance of a pure devotee are so strong that there is no discrimination between the lower and the higher class of men. Anyone can take to it. The most simple man taking shelter of the pure devotee can be purified by proper guidance. So I just offer one small prayer to ask blessings to be allowed to speak something relevant today. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master, with the torchlight of knowledge, has opened my eyes. Therefore, I offer him my respectful obeisances. So this is a beautiful verse where it is described that no matter our position in the social order of society, anyone can actually take shelter of the Lord. And if anyone who will take shelter of the Lord can reach the supreme destination. So today there will be a principle in spiritual life. In the scriptures there are principles, and those principles means it works for everyone at any time, at any place. It's something universal, principle. So the principle today is because there are dangers at every step, one should constantly take shelter of the Lord to overcome all difficulties. And I hope that in this lecture we will become more aware of the need of taking shelter constantly at every step, at any moment. I'd like to tell you a story to start. It's the story of a disciple of Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was a great leader, spiritual leader that was living in the past in India. And he had a successor. His name was Parasharabhata. And Parasharabhata was traveling in the forest in India with his disciples. And then as they were in the forest, they met a hunter. And this hunter was totally confused. So Parasharabhata asked, what's happening to you? And he said, I was hunting today and I got a rabbit in one of my traps. And when I was ready to kill the rabbit turned 3 times around me to offer respect, and then placed his head on my feet. And I could not kill him. He was taking shelter in me. I could not kill him. Therefore, I'm totally amazed what happened to this rabbit. Who is this rabbit that he acted in such a strange way? And when Parasharabhata heard this, he fainted. He fell on the ground unconscious. So the disciple, they woke him up and they say, Guru Maharaj, what is happening to you? Why did you faint? And he said something very deep. He said, look, this rabbit is in the lower form of life and still is able to take shelter. And see, as this hunter, he never made any promise that he would be merciful to anyone. And still he was merciful to the rabbit. So what to say about me? I'm supposed to have more intelligence than the rabbit. And what about the Lord, who is much more merciful and kind than the normal hunter? The Lord even promised, I will protect my devotee. And still, I have difficulty to take shelter. Therefore, I had to faint. So this is a promise that Krishna had done, that he will protect anyone who will take shelter of him. So today we will see why do we need to constantly take shelter, what prevents us from taking shelter, and how to do that, how to take shelter. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the story of an elephant. His name was Gajendra. And he was very happily in the heavenly planets. They are very beautiful planets with many, many beautiful scenery and many, many comforts. And so this elephant was there taking bath in the lake with his she-elephants. And suddenly a crocodile came and catch the leg of Gajendra. And then for a long time there was a deep fight between Gajendra and the crocodile, between the elephant and the crocodile. And what happened is that in previous life, this elephant had been in the body of a saint. So he knew some prayer that at that time of great danger, he was able to remember and called to the Lord his prayer, and the Lord came at his rescue to deliver him. And in this story, there is a beautiful purport from Srila Prabhupada where he writes, not only the king of the elephant, but every one of us is being attacked by the crocodile of material existence and is suffering the consequence. So this is what we will also explore. Why do we need to take constantly shelter? Because there is like an invisible crocodile that might be all the time chewing on our leg and that we have to actually get rid of. Where we will take shelter, that might be an obvious rhetorical question, because we are in the Hare Krishna temple, we want to take shelter in God, understanding that He is the person who can really give us the proper and the full shelter. Once I was traveling in the train, and I used to always travel, I'm still doing actually, dress in the devotional clothes, if you can say like this, in dhoti. And so I was in the train and some people saw me, they were sitting on the next bench, and one person challenged me and said, oh, you believe in God because you need shelter. And I thought for a while and I said, yes, totally true. Fully true. Then I say, everyone actually needs shelter, and now it's up to everyone to decide where they will take shelter. Most of the people will take shelter in drugs, alcohols, or cinema, or whatever distraction we find in this world. And I say, I honestly feel that taking shelter in the Lord is much more, a much more reasonable option in where to take shelter. Okay, so we will now explore why do we need to take shelter and why we need to take constantly shelter. And also why should we take shelter in God or in Krishna. So obviously, usually we think of taking shelter to be protected from difficulties, from tribulation, from suffering. That's why we usually take shelter. But the Lord gives another result. When we take shelter in the Lord, not only we will be protected, but in plus we will experience a very loving feeling in our heart. So it's a double, two-in-one. I don't know if it's a good promotional way of saying, but not only we will be protected, but in plus, by the association of the Lord, we will feel very loving feelings coming into our heart. it's also described in this particular verse that we were writing, that no matter in which class we are, if one learns how to take shelter, he can attain the supreme destination. There was a story that once when I was traveling with my spiritual master, we were in Venezia, in Italy, and it was the time when there was the carnival, and we had 2 buses loaded with devotees, and we went there to spiritualize a little bit the atmosphere. That was a little strange with everyone with masks, which actually one can actually relate to in the spiritual consciousness, that many of us also have masks. And so anyway, we were there, and we had around maybe 50, 60 devotees. We were singing in the street of Venezia, small alleys, and then we arrived to the Piazza San Marco, huge, like the biggest place. And when we arrived there, we were surprised that there was a huge stage with a bombastic sound system that was shooting techno music. And we arrived there with our Hare Krishna, and we all felt totally overpowered by the vibration of this loudspeaker. And in plus, the rain started to fall. So the devotees, that was, I think it's around February, March, it's still like quite in the winter season. So all the devotees got a little bit, oh no, it's raining, and the music there. And my spiritual master was leading the kirtan, and he noticed all what is happening, and he was thinking, what do we do now? And so he started to pray, started to take shelter. Krishna, please help us. What should we do? What should we do? And then suddenly he got the inspiration from within, and he saw a place on the side of the piazza, because there we were in the middle, where there was a building that had a type of protection against the rain. So he just took we were still chanting, he took everyone to the building, and there we were protected from the rain, but in plus, there was the echo of our singing against the wall of the house. So suddenly we could hear ourselves chant much nicer, and then suddenly the whole atmosphere changed, and the devotees got almost wild in happiness, and everyone was dancing and chanting, and the whole atmosphere changed. And later on, my spiritual master was saying, I really had to take shelter. There was no other way to go. I did not know what to do in the situation. And then from within, the Lord gave the direction. And then not only shelter was there, but everyone got totally enlivened and totally blissful in the experience of glorifying the Lord. There is also a beautiful analogy. That's the analogy of a bee that goes into a flower to get the honey. And as she's taking the honey, she's deep into the flower, and she's also protected from the ray of the sun. So she's sheltered inside of the flower, but at the same time she gets a lot of nectar. So this is also an analogy. When we take shelter of the Lord, we are protected, but in plus there is a lot of nectar that we can experience. And there is even a verse that speaks about that I would like to read. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Uddhava speaking to Lord Krishna. My dear Lord, for one who is being tormented on the terrible path of birth and death, and is constantly overwhelmed by the miseries, I do not see any possible shelter other than your 2 lotus feet, which are just like a refreshing umbrella that pours down shower of delicious nectar. So Uddhava said to Krishna, anyone who suffers in this world should take shelter at your lotus feet, my Lord. Because your lotus feet are like an umbrella that can shelter. But this is a special umbrella. I don't know if you got it when I read the verse. It's an umbrella that protects from the inside, but inside there is a rain. Inside of the umbrella there is a rain. You don't find any other umbrella like this anywhere in the world. Usually they protect you from the rain. But this one rain inside, and this is rain of nectar. So this is when we take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, we are protected, but we experience the nectar of transcendental consciousness. So for which reason should we ask for shelter or look for shelter? A few times when I give this lecture I ask the question, but no one is really able to catch really what I'm trying to ask for, so I will not, I will give the answer immediately. One of the protection we need from time to time, not so often, is protection of our body. Sometimes it might happen that we might get some heavy disease, or we might be implicated in a car accident, or I don't know if there are some criminality in Switzerland, but that can happen maybe in some other countries. But this is actually not so often, especially when you live in Switzerland. If you live in India, it's a little bit more dangerous, especially when you are in the traffic. At any time you can die. At any time one truck can just roll over you. At any time your car might just bang, shoot on you. So there is maybe more often the need of asking for protection of our body. I remember once we were flying from Zagreb to London with my spiritual master, and as we were coming to London, there was a huge wind, and the plane was shaking like never before, and I never experienced that before, and I thought, okay, that's the end. No way here. Let's get serious in my chanting of the holy name, and let's take full shelter of the Lord. And it worked. It worked. The plane landed peacefully. Often when devotees start a journey by car, they start by singing a song for Lord Nishingadev, asking for protection. So this is some type of protection we ask from the Lord from time to time, but this is not the reason why we need to constantly ask for protection. Now I will ask you the question. What other type of protection we might need where we are much more often in need of protection? Should not be too difficult. Yes?
Maybe from Maya?
Okay, from the illusory energy of the Lord. Okay?
Faith. Protection of faith.
Protection of our faith. Very good.
Protection of entanglement with material nature.
Okay. Good. Yes. Oh, very good. That's a very good one. Yes.
Protection from evil.
Okay. Very good. That's very nice answer. Protection of our mind or protection of our consciousness. And we can see there our mind is often in trouble. I don't know about your minds, you might all be saintly persons, but my mind is very often in trouble, and there is actually much more often a need for protection. So I thought to have it like protection of our consciousness, and the scriptures tells us that often there are enemies inside of us. There are 6 of them. Greed, lust, envy, anger, madness, and pride. Pride, illusion. I think maybe I put it another one, something like this. But they are actually all the time in the heart, and they can actually all the time come up and give us disturbances. We hear also from the scriptures that there are 3 modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance, that are also constantly having influence on us. So this is also a protection that we require. We hear there are 3 types of miseries. Miseries inflicted by people around us, miseries coming from climatic catastrophes, and suffering coming from people around us. So all of that will impact on our consciousness, and there actually we need a constant protection. We have also danger to give pain to others. We are in danger of offending people. This is also something we can pray for protection, that we can actually be genuinely good people and not hurt or pain any other persons around us. So this is one of the aim of this lecture, that we understand that even that there are other type of enemies that are in risk, that can attack our consciousness, toward which we actually need to pray for protection and be vigilant in our life as we go, to be aware when those, lust or greed is coming on our shoulder, that we are able to see them, that we are able to turn toward the Lord and ask for shelter when pride comes, when we are in risk of offending someone, we have a difficult relationship and anger is there, and we are ready to give our tell the truth to the person. Then we have to understand, okay, here I'm in danger, here I need to take shelter. So if you can keep only that from today's lecture, I think we already reached the goal of this lecture, to be a little bit vigilant of those inner enemies that are inside, and when they show up, that we can immediately take shelter at the Lord. So now we go to the second part of today's lecture. What is preventing us? What is blocking us from taking shelter? And there I like to hear also what do you think? What can be things that do not allow us to take shelter? Yes?
Faith.
Or lack of faith, maybe? Yeah, lack of faith. Yeah, very good. If we don't have faith in God, it's difficult to take shelter. Very good.
Many times we feel we know everything.
Yeah, very good. That's maybe also what? Pride, exactly. Pride. We think we know everything and we can manage it on our own. Okay, very good.
We don't have experience from
Okay.
family and from society that they really take shelter of us.
Okay, good.
Conception, I'm God. If I'm God, why do I have to take shelter of anyone?
Yeah. But that's quickly solved, because if you are God, how you can be disturbed by enemies? You don't have enemies if you are gods. Yes?
Weakness.
Okay. Weakness of the heart. Yes? Ignorance, very good. Wow, you are very learned. What is your age? 11. And your name? Julian. Okay. Thank you. Amazing.
If
Yeah.
I would say weakness, I would also say strength.
Okay.
You feel strong, so you don't need shelter.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
will protect myself.
Yeah. There we link back to pride and thinking you can do it on your own. Yeah?
We mostly forget that God exists in a hard time.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't take shelter that often.
Okay, very good. I think we have a bright future. Like such a young and wise audience. Very nice. Thank you so much for your. Actually, you already mentioned most of the point I wanted to develop. The first one I want to bring on the table is ignorance of the danger. Like this inner danger that we were speaking, very often we are unaware of it. And because we are unaware of it, then we don't have the opportunity to take shelter. Like children, when they play, they are unaware of the danger. They know, actually, my parents will be there to protect me. So sometimes we are also like children. We are just unaware of the risk that are there in our life. And I hope that with this lecture we really get aware about those one. The scriptures and the saints, they are all the time reminding us. So they are counteracting this ignorance of the danger. When you read in the scriptures or when you are in association with saintly person, they will tell us, you are in danger. Be careful. Don't underestimate the illusory energy of this world. So they are all the time there to break this ignorance and keep us alert so that we can navigate our life in a proper way. There is also this prayer I was thinking in the beginning, Om Gyana Timirandasya, the spiritual master as a torchlight of knowledge. He's removing this illusion and he's telling us, be careful, be vigilant in your way in walking in this world. My spiritual master was saying recently a beautiful analogy that the spiritual master is like a mother who is coming to wake up the child. The child needs to go to school and the mother comes and says, what is your name? Saishari. Saishari, it's time to go. Go to school, wake up, wake up. So the spiritual master is like the mother. He's coming to the disciple. He's waking him up. Don't rot in this material world. There is another world where you can be fully happy, eternally happy. A world of transcendence, a world of love that you are supposed to go. Wake up, wake up. Okay, then pride. Pride is a strong one, and especially for those of us who were raised in Europe or America, or we are so much trained that you will do it on your own, no matter what. You can do it on your own. You don't need the help of anyone. Just push strong, and you will do it. And when we come in touch with the spiritual scriptures, we understand that actually our strength is very, very limited. There is even a saint that said that we are like a baby of 2 or 3 months old. We are on our back and we can just cry. This is what we can do as human being. That's a little bit extreme in one sense, but often we are into the other extreme, thinking that actually we can do everything on our own. I am the doer. Huh? And when we are in India, this is actually very, very, this is broken down very, very quickly. Because even to get drinking water, sometimes you are not sure. Despite as strong as you do, you are not sure if they will deliver it or not, that you have to call. And so in India, even for opening a bank account, you have to pray. Actually, you have to pray for almost anything. In India, you just can, most of the things you just cannot do them on your own. Therefore, it's actually a very good school for learning to become humble. I had a time when I used to travel with my spiritual master where everything was all the time going wrong. And my spiritual master was just keeping chastising. And no one likes to be chastised. So as more as he was chastising me, as more I was trying to improve. And I was really trying to be vigilant. But it was not working. He was keeping chastising. And I remember one day I had a breakthrough. It was in Ljubljana, in Slovenia. I was in the temple room. My spiritual master was giving a lecture. And it's like I heard a small voice inside of my heart. And the voice said, why don't you pray? Why don't you try to ask for help? Why are you just trying on your own to solve all the difficulties? And from the time I started to pray, everything went back to place. But as long as I was not taking this step of praying, it was just not working. And sometimes life has to be tough so that we actually learn to enter into this door of humility and being able to understand, no, here I cannot control, here I need help, here now I need to turn toward the Lord. There is also the story of Draupadi that is most probably well known to everyone in the Mahabharata. When Draupadi, there was a game, a dice game, and there was, of course, the nice people and the bad people, and the bad people, they started to strip Draupadi, taking her sari off. And first she thought, that cannot be. There are so many righteous people here. They will intervene to protect me. But when she saw no one is doing anything, she thought, okay, then I will protect myself. And she was holding on the cloth, but that was also not possible. And when she understood it's not possible, she just put her hands in the sky. She called Govinda, Govinda. And when she called, there was a mystical sari coming and asked, was it Dushashan? Who was, yeah, Dushashan. He was pulling the sari, and there was meters and meters and meters of sari material coming, and the Lord was just providing unlimited amount of sari. that at the end they had to stop. There was no way to go further. But when she turned toward the Lord and really opened her arms and called, and the Lord was there immediately for her. In Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada speaks about that in one of the purports of 1866. He said, one should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. All other shelters are like fallible soldiers. This is an analogy that Queen Kunti said, that so many people can give us some type of protection, but ultimately they will all be defeated. The only one that can give us the real shelter is the Supreme Lord. So that was for lack of faith? No, that was for pride. And now we touch a little bit in the lack of faith. To take shelter, we need some faith. And once we were in Serbia, and there was a workshop on taking shelter. And the workshop was, we would be 2 persons, and one would be behind your back, and you would have to open your arms and allow and fall, knowing someone is there to pick you up. But still, even though you know, it's not so easy to fully trust. So it's also the same. To take shelter of the Lord, we need some type of faith that the Lord is there, and that the Lord is kind, and that the Lord will protect us. And in the same purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks also about that. He said one should wholeheartedly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There was this example that was during the war of Kurukshetra. There was one of the main soldiers was Arjuna, and one day before, Bhishma took a vow. Tomorrow I will kill Arjuna. And Bhishma was really the strongest. He was really, I mean, if he would take a vow, there will be really a big trouble. I mean, it will take place. So then the night passed, and in the morning, the brothers of Arjuna, they came to him and said, how was the night? Because, I mean, I don't know for you, but if you know you will be killed tomorrow, you might not have the most peaceful night. And you will, what will happen? So anyway, they came to Arjuna and said, how was the night? And Arjuna said, well, I was sleeping very like a baby, very nicely. Everyone was surprised. How is it? And he said, yes, I know Krishna is my friend, and I know he will protect me, and I have nothing to fear. When we were in India, we met an elderly lady who speaks well English. She's living actually there in Gaurahari, and she was helping us with the house where we were staying. The monkeys jumped on the electric pole, no electricity. So she came to help us to sort out with the electrician, so on and so forth. And then I thought, actually, she is a very saintly person. Let me take the opportunity. So I said, can you give me some words of wisdom? So she was a little drawn, and then she thought, and then she said, surrender. Surrender, because the Lord is there, and the Lord is going to take very good care of you. Don't worry, have faith, just surrender to the Lord. And there is good news, is that Krishna, he's a hero. And heroes, by nature, they like to protect. And we can see, for those of you who know the pastimes of the Lord, so often the the friends of Krishna, the family members of Krishna, they were in dangers. And all the time Krishna, he likes actually to protect his devotee. It's not that he feels, oh, now I have to protect this one. No, he likes to do that. We will not disturb him if we take shelter in him. And yeah, as bhakti, as our devotion increase, as more as actually our faith will grow. And we will touch back a little bit on this point of faith now when we come to the third point of how to take shelter. How do we do that? There is one of our acharyas, his name is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who gives 6 processes for practicing surrender, of taking shelter of the Lord. The 2 first are humility and giving oneself, or Atmanivedana in Sanskrit. Then so those 2 are actually very much connected to humility, to lack of pride, not having pride. Then the 2 next is to have faith that Krishna is protecting us and Krishna is maintaining us. So those 2 touch into faith. And the 2 others is to accept what is favorable for our spiritual journey and reject what is not favorable for our spiritual journey. I will make it also in a practical way. That might sound still theoretical. So developing our faith in Krishna, faith that Krishna is there to protect us and that Krishna is there to maintain us. So when we actually do a spiritual practice, what is happening is that the Lord reciprocates. And when the Lord reciprocates, then our faith is increasing. And as our faith increases, we are more willing to dedicate ourselves for our spiritual practice. And more we dedicate, more the Lord reciprocates, and more the faith increases. This is one way the faith is increasing. But when we hear also how Krishna is happy to give shelter to his loved one, this is actually also making our faith grow. In the scripture is mentioned there are 2 types of faith. Lokika Shraddha and the other one, Shastriya Shraddha. So Lokika Shraddha, it's a faith that we receive according to what people tell us. Like if now I will tell Manu, I will tell Vajayanti, Manu is the best person, he's the best devotee. This morning he gave such wonderful comments in the lecture. I'm praising, I'm telling good about Manu. Your faith in Manu will increase. You say, oh yeah, he must be a very good person. But if I would do the opposite, I will speak bad about the person, then the faith in that person will. So in everything that happens, even with news that we have in newspaper and everything like this, our faith is actually moved by what we hear around us. So this is Lokika Shraddha. And the other one is Shastriya Shraddha, and that's what we find in the scriptures. And this Shastriya Shraddha, this is what is actually going to save us. This is what is going actually to make a difference in our life, because it's based on transcendental message. And we will train that right away. I will read to you one of the most beautiful purport of Prabhupada in my opinion, and this comes in the story of Gajendra, when Prabhupada speaks of the nature of the Lord. Only Krishna can deliver us from this material existence. Indeed, he is always trying to deliver us. He is within our heart and is not at all inattentive. The Lord is not at all inattentive. He's there in our heart and is always trying to deliver us. It is not that he becomes attentive to us only when we offer prayer to him. Even before we offer our prayer, he incessantly tries to deliver us. He is never lazy in regard to our deliverance. No laziness in regard to our deliverance. It is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord that He always tries to bring us back home, back to God. God is liberated, and He tries to make us liberated. But although He is constantly trying, we refuse to accept His instructions. Nonetheless, He has not become angry. Therefore, He is unlimitedly merciful in delivering us from this material condition of life. So that's Shastriya Shraddha. When we hear that attentively, it will build up our faith that actually the Lord is loving, that the Lord, He is not lazy in our deliverance. He's not waiting that we pray to actually come to help us. This is like very, very beautiful. So now we touch a little bit on developing humility and self-surrender. There is, for all those topics we could spend seminars. I just touch something very simple on humility. In the Chinese tradition, they say humility is the vision of the reality, which means humility is to see yourself as you are, not as what you would like to be or thinking that you are actually better than others. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very nice definition in Bhagavad Gita. He said humility is to be free from the desire to be respected by others. So that's, I found actually very beautiful way of connecting with humility, to be real with ourselves and to be alright, to accept that we are actually not so great. sometimes it's difficult, and that's the pride, when we always want to show our best side and always want to be on the top and like this, but when we cannot, we suffer so much. So this is pride. Humility is to be able to accept ourselves like we are, and of course turn toward the Lord afterward. And then self-surrender, or giving ourselves to the Lord, this is actually very much too connected when we do spiritual practice, or when we try actively to serve the Lord, to please the Lord, or to do something for connecting with the Lord, for the pleasure of the Lord. And now we come to the last points, which is accepting what is favorable and rejecting what is not favorable. And that's again touch a little bit with spiritual practice. That can be very, very easy. Sometimes we think, oh, spiritual practice, oh, thank you, not for me. I want to be free and just do what I want to do, and that's all right. But actually, a small amount of spiritual practice that are done on a regular basis can make a huge difference into the development of faith and into the relationship that we develop with the Lord. Like we mentioned before, if we have no clue of God, it's difficult to take shelter in Him. But when a relationship develops with the Lord, then it becomes actually much more tangible experience to take shelter of the Lord. So to take shelter of the Lord practically, or maybe I can ask you that. How would you do now if you have to take shelter of the Lord? Practically, how do you do that? Yes, Natalie? No.
Just reciting His name.
Okay, reciting His name, calling maybe.
Yeah.
Krishna, help. Okay.
Surrendering ourselves to the Lord.
Okay. And how will you do that? Let's say you're in danger right now. How do you?
Just believing that He's there to take care of us, and kind of the tasks which we do on a daily basis, we kind of do it as a service to the Lord.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
Follow His instructions.
Follow His instruction. Okay. Now I'm in danger. What Krishna says. Okay. This is what He said. I just do it and take shelter in His instruction. It's good. I think Arjuna did it when Krishna had left this planet. Arjuna was just such a strong warrior, and when Krishna left the planet, he lost all his power, and he was defeated by farmers. And he understood, oh my God, all my powers are gone now that Krishna is gone. And then he focused on on the instruction he had received from Krishna as taking shelter. Yeah, nice.
My experience when I take like the Bhagavad Gita and just 1 hour reading and then many things are gone.
Very nice. There is actually behind the Bhagavad Gita, there is the words of Mahatma Gandhi. And he speaks about the Gita, and he said when the worst difficulty in life are staring in my face, I open Bhagavad Gita, and there I find such a shelter that I start to laugh in front of all those difficulties of life. And I had once this experience, I wanted to share it also. It was during the COVID time when I was still temple president in the community where I was. Even for the devotee community, there was a lot of struggle between those who thought it's a conspiracy and those who thought it's very dangerous. So I was in the middle as temple president trying to put the things together. And at a certain time we had like a big meeting with everyone to discuss what we do now. We did it outside, of course. And there everyone spoke, and the last person who spoke started to insult me and my wife like anything in front of everyone. And wow, that was I did not expect. So the first thing I thought is, okay, let's get away from here as soon as possible. I just left and went in my room, but I'm a little bit sensitive by nature, so I was quite shocked, and I was lying on my bed and my body was trembling and I did not know what to do. So I just opened a book of pastimes of Krishna and I started to read loudly. And my mind was still like, but I just kept reading, and I was reading loudly. And after reading maybe 2-3 times one page, half of the tension was gone. I was just like transformed in such a quick way, just actually by taking shelter, by reading into the scriptures. So that can be actually very powerful. I was once speaking with a person who had actually difficulty with lusty feelings. And we discussed that whenever lust comes, you should read Bhagavad Gita for a while and see what happened. And he was saying, it's wonderful. It was wonderful. Read Bhagavad Gita and it just goes away. Yes?
I like to chant when I'm disturbed because it just pacifies the mind. And once I was in a very, for me, difficult situation, and I had to be at work, and I was very under stress to be at work, so 2 days I would run away. I mean, I would tell at my home that I'm going to work, and at work I would say that I was sick, and then I would go to a botanical garden, and I was chanting the whole day, these 8 hours of, and that was really everything would just go away in that moment, so it was very nice.
Thank you. One thing I would like to add, because in anything we do, actually is prayer. Prayer is really the way we turn toward the Lord. That we do it through chanting or through reading the scriptures. The mood of prayer, of turning toward the Lord and asking for help, this is really like the mechanism that makes us, allow us to take shelter. And I would like just to end by reading you one quote, and then we can open a little bit if you have some questions or comments on this presentation. This is a quote my spiritual master was mentioning once. You see? Yeah. If you just have your faith in Krishna consciousness and just read and chant in a proper way, even anxieties and fear cannot have any control over you. What to say of lust, anger and greed and all those things. Whenever you feel you are getting down in your consciousness, just take these things seriously. Have contact with Krishna through reading his book and chanting his name. That means you connect. It's not just only chant or read, but you connect with Krishna as you chant and read. This is a very important message. And if you ask me, This is my spiritual master speaking. He has around 50 years of practicing Krishna consciousness. If you ask me, that's all I know. That's all I have understood. But it is enough. Just take shelter in Krishna's holy name. This will help you to see everything in a Krishna conscious way. Maybe just now I'm in a dilemma. I wanted to tell you a little pastor of Krishna, but question is more important. Yes. Do you have any questions? If there is no question, I'll tell you. Any questions? Yes.
Can I tell my part of how I get away that sad bit?
How you can get away
That's sad.
From sad, being sad.
being sad? How to get away from being sad?
Can you tell my part of that?
Hmm?
Can you tell my part of that?
She wants to tell how she can come out of it.
Okay. Please.
So I'm sad, and then I go on my bed and lay down, and then I calm down, and then I think, why is this happening to me? And then I remember what my dad says, that every problem that comes in our life is an obstacle from Krishna, and seeing how we get out of it. And then I think how to get out of it, and then I think all the stuff that God has done, and then the stories, and then everything just goes away, and I don't really remember anything anymore, so I go downstairs and
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Very brilliant. You have a good father who has trained you very nicely. Anyone else? Yes.
The question is, you spoke about being humble and having humility. So my question is, in life, how can we be simple and humble and still not gullible? Still not gullible, you see?
Gullible?
Gullible meaning somebody taking advantage of us, you see? So, yeah.
So, you seem to say that if we are trying or becoming humble, maybe others will abuse us or take advantage of us.
Yeah, like, so I think simplicity is the core nature of human beings, but sometimes people take advantage.
Yeah.
So how can we balance everything?
Yeah, it's very good. Very good question. Actually, we have to be careful as we go on the spiritual journey with who we are, with people we are, and we should actually avoid those who have the tendency of abusing us or profit of our being humble. So it's not that we should be proud and keep like this. We should be in the humble mood, but we should choose people with whom we are as far as possible. Sometimes in job or like this, you cannot always choose, and sometimes you might have to show your teeth here and there in the world. Sometimes you have to do that, but if you are humble, you can do it. You can show your teeth without being affected by anger and other things. But if you are not, then it's Prabhupada sometimes became very angry, but he was always loving. He was fully aware of the situation. So yeah, just be aware with whom you associate, who you are around, so that if you are with people who might abuse you, then you rather show a little bit your teeth. But in general, go in as much as possible into the mood of humility.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. I think we have reached time, and I think the atmosphere is a little bit more shaky. That may be the right time to end. So today the topic was taking shelter. We were exploring about why we should take shelter of Krishna or God. There was because we will be fully protected, but also we will experience nectar. That was one important point. Then there was why we should constantly take shelter, because there are those enemies that are inside, that are often disturbing us, and we should be attentive to see them and immediately take shelter against them. And then we saw also the six process of taking shelter: humility, surrendering ourselves, developing faith that Krishna protects us and Krishna maintains us, and to avoid what is not favorable and to accept what is favorable for our spiritual journey. So I thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
His Grace Gaurahari Prabhu ki
Jai.
Thank you very much, Gaurahari Prabhu. Speaking on the topic how to take shelter, I think this is taking shelter is usually a topic that's quite difficult to grasp and maybe also theoretical, and thank you very much for bringing us speaking on this in an understandable and relatable way. Thank you very much, and we hope to for your more visits again to our Sri temple. Thank you very much. So next we will have our prasadam, and as some of you might know, we have switched to another system of serving prasadam, on this traditional way of serving prasadam, where we will sit and we serve the prasadam. So we will continue with this also this week, and for this we need to prepare the room a little bit. I might request everyone to bring the cushions there, and then we will show you to sit. We will request you to sit in chairs. Hare Krishna.
Dear devotees, please have a seat as the last time. So we will have two rows here, face to face. It's a little bit, can you see closer? This row will be to the wall, yes, this chairs will be to the side. So, please, can you take this? Yeah. Devotees, please come here, come closer. We have a lot of space here.
Nobody will know now.